Hello class, welcome to a video lecture on the play Innocence from Zetta Elliott. You can find the play Innocence with the same folders in the week 2 of the weekly folders section of Blackboard. So, a quick scavenger hunt. Go ahead and pause this video, take 5 minutes and Google the 3 items that you see on screen, taking a bit of time to look and see what each item entails. So go ahead and pause it now and then restart the video after looking up each 3 cases. So if you've looked at each 3 cases, hopefully, and have read the play, hopefully you have realized that our 3 main characters of Coco, Sophia, and Maggie match the 3 items and the 3 cases that you see on the screen. The Megan Williams case refers to Maggie. The uncensored letter to MLK reveals the affairs of Martin Luther King, which directly references Sophia. And the Duke Lacrosse case references Coco. So each 3 of these characters was based off of a real life situation and a series of real life events involving women and these 3 cases. So you might ask yourself why I had you look up this information and how it connects to Elliott's play. So essentially what each of these 3 cases reveal are 3 moments when women were sort of exploited and none of the women were thought to be presumed innocent. They were all blamed for being in these positions in the first place. So their presumed innocent, both in a court of law and society, was denied them. The women were presented as being guilty, even though in each of these 3 cases, as Williams writes them, they are the innocent party. So as always, with everything that we read, the first thing that we want to do is a plot breakdown. Right? We want to examine the main characters, Maggie, Coco, and Sophia. We want to break down the setting. Where does the play take place? Which is behind a courthouse in the South. It is important to note that all 3 of these cases, the real life cases, occurred in the South. What are the goals of the characters? So the goals of the characters, we could say, are to achieve justice and recognition, to achieve their day in court, to have their cases be presented honestly. Do these characters achieve their goals? No. It is very important that we never see any of the characters have their day in court. None of our characters and the real life characters on which they are based ever receive a fair trial to receive justice and recognition for what they have been through. So, why does Elliott have these 3 characters be presented to you as real life people, but she doesn't tell you that? Note, nowhere in the play does she tell you that these are based off of real life people. It is only by following the context clues would you understand that. And the answer is because Elliott is using a literary technique called an allusion. Right? An allusion is a literary technique in which something in the text, a character, a setting, an event, is designed to call something to the mind without mentioning it directly. This is always done in figurative language, in which the author will provide you clues to figure out who a character is, what real life situation something is based on, but they won't come out and tell you. For example, if we look at the character of Maggie, one of the things that is a very strong clue is when Maggie uses the word Frankie. Both Coco and Sophia say, Frankie, was that a guy? It's like, no, Frankie was Bobby's ma, was his mother. This is a clue that you could then Google and see, Case, Frankie, Bobby, Megan Williams, and you will see that what Elliott has done is dropped a clue for the audience that Frankie was the real life person, the real life nickname of a person involved in the Megan Williams case. This is an allusion. So there are some really popular examples in pop culture that you can find. One is something like this from one of the Zack Snyder Superman movies. This is an illusion, all right? You are put these two characters together to let you know that Superman is in fact like Jesus. From a similar Superman movie, we see this case where Superman is fighting a villain, and we have the character here running down the street. Anybody familiar with New York history will see that this is a actual allusion to 9/11. So the film doesn't tell you that Superman fighting is like the damage is like 9/11, but by showing you this very evocative allusion to what happened in 9/11, the director is letting you as the audience make that connection on your own, right? And Elliott is doing the exact same thing when she is providing you the context clues to form the illusion, to put the illusion together to see that her three main characters are based on three real life cases. So, how does the meaning of the play change when you know that these three characters are based off of real people, that they are allusions to real people? The play references these real world situations and cases to force you, the audience member, to think about the idea of innocence and think about who in our society has the right of presumed innocence. It's always important to remember in any criminal hearings, we have somebody who is an innocent person. The innocent person is usually somebody who suffers the victimization of a crime, right? These three women were in the positions of innocence, but in each of the three real life cases, their innocence was denied. They were suggested to not be innocent, and they did not get to be perceived as innocent and to be proven guilty. Each of our three characters in the real life situations they were based on were told that they were somehow at fault for their own victimization. So let's look at our three characters and trace their stories. If we start with Coco, and Coco is a character that alludes to the Duke Lacrosse case, we see that Coco is confident in her sexuality and even performs a sexualized dance to the audience on page 23. That despite being an exotic dancer, she is still working towards her college degree, so she is getting herself educated. And then she discusses how, when she relays the story of her assault, that despite having backup in terms of another dancer, that this was still a very traumatic moment. The stage directions show her confident and brash character on page 25 break. So if you look at the stage directions on page 25, you see how much this event, this incident that Coco is talking about, how that really traumatically scarred her. Next, we have Sophia. Right? Sophia is the oldest character and is a very conservative religious woman. But even with her conservative religious upbringing, she still talks about and relays to you a story about how she was taken advantage of by a more powerful man. She describes on page 25, men of the cloth are just men when it comes down to it. On page 22, she gives you the story about how her faith were manipulated by men in power. On 26, she talks about how she was forced to leave her home to hide the shame of having conceived a child out of wedlock with a pastor. That pastor, in the illusion, being, of course, Martin Luther King. And she says that even an older conservative woman who chastises Coco so much for her brazen attitude was placed into the position of lacking innocence. Finally, we have Maggie. Maggie is a character that alludes to the Megan Williams case. Maggie is probably the most innocent character in the entire play due to the fact that she obviously has a mental disability that makes her unable to read people's intentions. The real life character to which Maggie is an allusion towards in the Megan Williams case did have a mental disability that, even though she was older, kind of had her mental age at around 14, 12 to 14, a very young, susceptible person. Maggie tells the story about how she was manipulated by a family in a moment of what you could classically call stranger danger, being picked up by bad people off the street, and that the reason why she got into this car is because she thought she could, quote unquote, make friends. So we really see how Maggie did not have any ability to see the danger she was walking into, despite the fact that if you look at the Megan Williams case, she is presented and blamed for putting herself in that situation. So all three of our characters represent women who have gone into uh, terrible situations where they were the victim, but somehow it became their fault. It somehow became their issue that they were placed into each of these three positions, despite the fact that when you look at the clues presented to you in the play, they shouldn't be presumed guilty. They should be considered the innocent people. Next, let's talk about the setting. Why might the setting of the courthouse be important to help you understand the theme of this play that talks about how society judges these women? So, what do courthouses represent? Courthouses for society are symbols of justice and equality. It's a place where the innocent receive compensation for being victimized and where we can punish the guilty. However, none of these women get to enter this building. In fact, they're not even in the front of the building. They're behind the courthouse. All right, we do not even get to see them be in front of a courthouse of a place of justice. None of them ever go into the courthouse. So by having the setting be behind the courthouse and having none of these women be able to access in the story of the play the courthouse, what we see is this theme that these women do not get their chance at justice or equality. All right. They do not get a chance to present their innocence. In fact, they are deemed guilty and not even allowed into the courthouse. This is further referenced by Maggie drawing the image of the Black Madonna on the wall of the courthouse. The Black Madonna, if you Google that phrase, you will see are depictions of the Virgin Mary, but as a woman of color. Right? So very much, again, heightening the fact that all three of these women, just like the picture of the Black Madonna, are innocent. The character of the Virgin Mary is a character of innocence. All right. So altogether, this play is working to present to you that women, especially women of color, are denied their chance to have justice. They are denied having a position of innocence. Oftentimes, when they are the victims of crimes, they are assumed to be the one that are guilty. So very much like the play Stash, the themes and ideas of this play are working to talk about how society needs to change. The illusions of these three characters work just like the symbols of the father's genitals in representing Zetta Elliott, our author's attempt to present a, a picture of society, an issue with society that needs to be changed. So Elliott's theme in this play very much seeks to talk about how we need to think about each of these three characters and see how they represent an image of society and the way that the society thinks about women that needs to be changed. So, to conclude, the title of the play is important in understanding the meaning and theme Eliot is trying to present. Use the title of the play Innocence to analyze what the play is presenting about its women characters. All the women represent victims of abuse that don't receive the notion of innocence until proven guilty. The implied reason for this is that they are women and that they are African American women, hence they are denied justice. As a final note, if you look at the Duke Lacrosse case, it's important to remember that this play was written before much of the story of the Duke Lacrosse came out. This can change how you impact the theme of the play and how it reads the play for you, but you should note that Zetta Elliott did write the play before all of the information about the Duke lacrosse came to light to the public. That is finishes our discussion of the play Innocence.